Today is July 3rd, 2020, and my name is Dr. David Makongo. The purpose of this audio is to discuss a ceasefire agreement that is being negotiated between the interim government of President Yaounde in jail in Kondengi and the government of Paul Biya. As a matter of fact, yesterday, July 2nd, social media was awash with information that President Yaounde had been taken out of his jail with some other members of his government to an unknown destination. But before 10 a.m. today, we have tried to lay our hands on every bit of information surrounding the outing of President Yaounde yesterday. As a matter of fact, the United Nations organization, that's the Security Council, last week passed a resolution on a global ceasefire for all conflicts. And in response to this resolution, the Biya regime decided to contact members of the interim government for talks on a possible ceasefire. So they went to Kondengi and escorted out of the prison cell President Yaounde and 8 other members of his government that they took to the military tribunal in Yaounde for this meeting. As a matter of fact, the government of Cameroon was represented in this meeting by Mr. Eko. For those of you who know Eko, Eko is the Director General in charge of external intelligence for La République du Cameroon. Another notable presence was Lieutenant Colonel Jacques Boudin. He was also there, including 7 other members of the Biya regime, whose names we have not obtained. Also present on the side of President Yaounde was Mancho BBC, Shufai Bless, Barrister Ayambe, Professor Awasum, and Bush Hunter, amongst others. Now, like I said, the purpose of this meeting, as informed by President Yaounde through his Twitter account, was to discuss a possible ceasefire in response to the Security Council's resolution for a global ceasefire on COVID-19. Now, he said the details of this meeting or of these consultations were being developed, and once an agreement was reached, he was going to make this public. Now, as you would expect, this information has caused a lot of brouhaha on social media and on newspapers. So the purpose of this audio message is to try and analyze the what happened yesterday in light of the United Nations Security Council's resolution for a global ceasefire on COVID-19 within the circles of the revolution. Now, I would like to go straight to what transpired in the meeting yesterday, after giving you down a rundown of the names of some of the notable presence in the military tribunal, the venue where the meeting held. It has been it has been reported to me that President Sisiko Ayuk Tabe spoke on behalf of the people of Ambazonia, and he gave 4 strong conditions under which Ambazonia would accept a ceasefire. And those conditions were: 1, a general amnesty by presidential decree; 2, Paul Biya should declare a ceasefire and withdraw all La Republique troops from Ambazonia; 3, the liberation of all Ambazonia prisoners, with President Ayuk Tabe being the last person to be liberated; and 4, that discussions and negotiations must continue on the future of Ambazonia in a foreign ground. Now, I repeat, President Ayuk Tabe imposed 4 conditions for a possible ceasefire negotiations. And those conditions were: 1, general amnesty by presidential decree; 2, Paul Biya should declare a ceasefire and withdraw all his troops from Ambazonia; 3, the liberation of all Ambazonia prisoners, with President Ayuk Tabe being the last person to be liberated; and 4, and finally, the continuance of discussions and negotiations on the future of Ambazonia in a foreign territory. Now, having given you the conditions imposed by President Ayuk Tabe, allow me now give you some reactions, bring to you some reactions by some prominent Ambazonians who learned that President Ayuk Tabe was invited or was escorted out of his prison cell in Kondengi for a meeting with some Cameroon government officials. Now, there have been so many reactions, but I've just selected a few notable ones for the purpose of this discussion and for the purpose of us understanding and situating ourselves with regards to future negotiations. So allow me bring the reaction from Dr. Samuel Sako, whose first reaction was that he calls on Ambazonians to focus on the draft and ignore enemy side shows, that Yaounde is putting her house in order for future negotiations at the international level, and that he will neither condemn nor endorse whatever contacts among citizens of French Cameroon in the domestic character. So those are the reactions of Dr. Samuel Sako. And also Chris Anu, who is the secretary of the interim government, also reacted. And he said, only Dr. Samuel Sako, the president of the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, and ACT team can talk for Ambazonia, that prisoners don't negotiate for free men. All the gimmicks in Yaounde are null and void. That was the reaction from Chris Anu. And I would also like to bring you the reaction from Justice Aya Paul, that a lot of us fondly call Pa Aya, who reacted by saying this was a major development. It was a great step in the right direction, and cautioned that negotiations must be inclusive if they have to succeed. Now, another notable reaction is that from Dr. Cho Ayaba Lucas of EG of CE and Commander-in-Chief of the ADF force. He said, and I would just like to paraphrase him, that any unsupervised talks with the genocidal regime in Yaounde must be discouraged, that the people of Ambazonia have bled for 4 years to internationalize their liberation struggle. And as a matter of fact, this was done in order for Ambazonia to negotiate under conditions of trust and candor. And then he cautioned his counterparts of IG Care that whenever dealing on international issues like this, they should make sure that everyone is on the same level. As to Dr. Yaounde Echo, he's not hiding his feelings by saying that La République du Cameroon wants the Amber Boys to cease fire, while the B continues to kill. He also says that Yaounde cannot impose a ceasefire from jail, and that let them release all prisoners first and let Ambazonians have a united front, and that we should not afford to cease fire at our own risk. So after putting all these reactions together, now it's time for me to make my own remarks. But before I do that, I would like first to say that this ceasefire that has been called for by the Security Council cannot be exploited and should never be exploited by La République du Cameroon as a weakness to perpetrate its killings and unwarranted arrests and kidnappings on ground zero. I mean, that is in the southern Cameroon's territory. It baffles me that La République du Cameroon has refused to sign the ceasefire agreement. The government of Paul Biya has not ratified the United Nations Security Council's ceasefire resolution. And they are quick to invite the government of Ambazonia that is in jail, that they kidnapped with the help of France, to come and discuss a ceasefire. The question is, are they going to respect or honor the terms of the ceasefire, if at all one is agreed upon? As to France, we don't trust France. I personally followed the Foreign Commission, the hearings in France 3 days ago, and I was scandalized to see that the French lawmakers have no clue about what is happening in Cameroon, or they have a clue, but they just decided to distort facts and mislead the entire universe about the facts of this ongoing genocide in southern Cameroon. I mean, can anyone believe that French lawmakers are accusing Ambazonians that they were the ones who started the war and that the government of Cameroon is only reacting? Can anyone believe that they are saying that Cameroon is united and that Ambazonia cannot lay claim on Northwest and Southwest to be a united country because the Boya people are naturally attached to the littoral people and the Bamenda people are naturally attached to the people of the Western province or Western region? I mean, this is unheard of. And then they even went as far as to saying that the people of southern Cameroon's Ambazonia are more interested in decentralization and in the special status that they were granted by Paul Biya during the national, call it Grand National Dialogue, whatever that means, because everything that is small, they try to magnify it. So we don't trust France. And since France is the one pulling the shots in Cameroon, with the government of Cameroon trying to negotiate a a ceasefire agreement with the leadership in jail. We are monitoring very closely what is in the sleeves of France and La République du Cameroon. So they must know this, that we are watching, because we don't trust them. If they cannot explain the facts of this war the way they are, and they can, obscure them, it means that whatever they put their hands on cannot be taken seriously. But for the purposes of the United Nations global call for a ceasefire, we are willing to observe what is going on. As to infiltrators and enablers and impostors and fence-sitters, this is not an opportunity for you to explore and try to further divide the people of Ambazonia. I'm asking infiltrators not to use this to aim shots at any leader or the leadership in jail. I'm asking enablers not to use this as an opportunity to bribe people so that there shouldn't be any understanding between the people of Ambazonia. I'm also using this opportunity to talk to impostors that they have made a lot of money out of this struggle. This is the time that they need to spare the blood and the sweat of our people so that there should be a genuine ceasefire that would ultimately lead to negotiations that will end this war as soon as possible. Now, as to fence sitters, you can choose sitting on the fence as long as you are not throwing stones in the struggle, because you don't know, you may aim a stone and it end up falling in the head of somebody you know or of a family member of yours. So this is my reaction as far as La République du Cameroon, France, infiltrators, enablers, impostors, and fence-sitters go. Now, let me respond specifically to President Ceasefire Ayuk-Tabe's decision to attend this meeting. I want to say here, without any fear of contradiction or favor, that President Ayuk-Tabe did the right thing to attend this meeting and to listen to what La République du Cameroon had to tell him and other members of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia who are being held in prison in Kondingi. And I repeat, President Ayuk-Tabe did the right thing to attend this meeting. It was, to quote Justice Ayapol, it was the right move. It was a step in the right direction. It was an important development in this struggle. Yes, some people say COVID-19 is bad, but I think there are also some good things we can take from COVID-19. So I just want to to insist that to reiterate the point that while President Ayuk-Tabe and his team did the right thing to attend this meeting and to report back to the people of Ambazonia what was said, I am particularly very encouraged that he made those conditions available to the government of President Paul Biya to choose whether they want a ceasefire or not. However, I would recommend that 2 more conditions be added. I think while those 4 conditions that were given were big, but they did not go far enough to cover as many issues as we would have loved to. A 5th point to add there should be that the Biya regime should allow the international community to conduct an impartial and neutral investigation into the Ngabu massacre and into the killing of our brother Samuel Wazizi in Boya by the Biya regime. And of course, this is very, very important. We hold this point very important and very dear to our hearts. You know, we also want the following, that any ceasefire agreement that La République du Cameroon will be signing with the interim government in jail should be subject to the consultation and approval of the people of Ambazonia, including various leaders and various organizations. So I repeat that the 4 conditions that President Yaounde Tabe gave, they were very good conditions, but I'm making an appeal to him that when next they are meeting, he should add 2 more. Number 1 being that the Biya regime should allow an independent investigation into the Ngabu massacre and into the killing of Samuel Wazizi. And 2, that the any agreement reached with La République du Cameroon is subject to consultation and approval of the people of Ambazonia, leaders of Ambazonia, and some groups in Ambazonia, which are stakeholders in this revolution. Now, having stated that, I want to end my presentation with another appeal to President Ceasefire Yaounde Tabe that he should make sure to either ask his lawyers or the any of his trusted parties out here to hold a meeting, an immediate meeting with all Ambazonians. It could be the leaders of groups that are representative of this cause, so that everyone should be briefed and be brought up to speed with what is happening in Yaounde, and that all Ambazonians should be on the same page with regards to the kind of response that is expected. Now, the purpose of this is to avoid confusion, avoid division, avoid showing to the international community that we are divided or that we don't know what we are fighting for. This is very, very important as we move forward, because unity is force. And of course, it will be the job and the duty of enablers, fence-sitters, infiltrators to try to divide us. Now, anyone who will not take this message very, 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 very seriously does not like Ambazonia. Anyone who does not see the need of President Yaounde Tabe calling for a meeting and to sensitize the leaders and seek their opinion so that everybody should feel included and this process should be inclusive, does not like Ambazonia. It's someone who is making money out of this struggle. It's someone who is making money out of the blood and sweat of our people. And we must condemn this with all the energy in our body and with all the blood in our bones. I will not end this special presentation without thanking all the Ambazonians who are in jail, thanking all the Ambazonians who are refugees, thanking all the Ambazonians who are IDPs, and thanking everyone who is nursing wounds as a result of this war. Because without the prisoners of war, without the refugees, and without the IDPs, no one can talk about this revolution. You are the ones who have paid the heaviest price in this war. We have and owe you our utmost respect, and we pray that this war should end quickly so that you can regain your homes, you can rejoin your families, and you can live the better life that you have always dreamt about. Now, I am very confident that President Yaounde Tabe has the mental capacity to represent Ambazonians in any negotiations in Yaounde, subject to consultation and recommendations and approval from the people of Ambazonia. Anyone who does not think that President Yaounde Tabe has the mental faculty, that he has the effrontery, that he has the capacity, that he has the strength and the stamina to represent us. Just because he's jailed, that person has lost it. And we are not going to join the person to lose it. I want to thank you very much for your sacrifices. I want to thank you very much for trusting me with my messages. I owe you a lot, and I will never disappoint you. I love my position as the Ganako of the revolution. I like being behind and watching everyone moving ahead to score important goals for all of us. Ambazonians, this is our moment. Let us take it. Thank you very much, and may God abundantly bless you all.